Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Liberty House. I am very happy to introduce the chair of our board of directors, and that is Pam Woodcock.
I'm a little shorter. Good afternoon, everybody. We got a great day for this, thank goodness. Welcome. My name is Pam Woodcock. I'm the chair for the board of directors. As the board of directors, we're responsible for seeing that Liberty House provides important services for children that are referred to us for concerns of abuse or neglect. And we provide those services to both the children and the families that are involved in that as well. Today, we're here to launch the Children's Garden, and it's going to be a place of beauty that children and their families can see and walk in and experience while they're here to help in that healing process. So I'd like to introduce Holly Williams, our clinical supervisor. Holly's going to explain more about the vision for this garden. So, Holly?
Hello. So, have you ever asked yourself why you feel so much better after you've gone to the beach, or when you go for a hike in the woods, or just for a walk in the park? You know, being out in nature. The reason is because it reduces stress and anxiety. And we all know that a reduction of stress and anxiety is actually really physically good for us. Hopefully you haven't been in a hospital, but you may have noticed that more and more hospitals are incorporating garden spaces, some indoors and some outdoors. And that's for the same reasons, because being out in nature is just calming, the calming place to be. So, if we have less stress and anxiety, then we have the ability to be present. There's not as much fear. We can focus a little bit better. And we don't have to be on like a constant alert, like a lot of kids are that we see, just in order to survive. You know, we don't have to have that hyper alertness going on. We can just relax a little bit. Nature also shows us the patterns of life. Those patterns remind us that growth doesn't have to be chaotic and confusing. Growth and change can be steady and progressive. We can observe the flow with the seasons. And even if a garden experiences a storm, it can recover and thrive again. The beauty of nature offers a distraction from pain and discomfort, and even if that distraction is just slight, it's still a relief. Just even the slightest relief is important and necessary. So taking part in a garden, being within a garden space offers us feelings of unity, social interaction, well-being, and a sense of freedom. Freedom from the darkness, from the secrets, the confusions, and the expectations of other people. Being with nature, not in nature, but with nature, like in relationship with nature, offers the opportunity to connect within and without, and to know who we are in relationship, not just in relationship with ourselves, but in relationship with other people, to know who we are in relationship to our work, and to all those crusty places, those crunchy places in life, which keeps us separate from that, and we're not defined by that. So to finish, the connection or awareness of who we are supports our chances to successfully navigate the course of our lives. And if we are the navigators, we're not the victim. We have freedom to choose. Thanks. And I would like to introduce our CEO, Allison Kelly.
Thank you, Holly. There are a couple of people here that I would like to call out specifically. For one, Richard Pine and Rick Day, who were served as sharks. We'll talk about that in a second, Share Tank last year. Phil McCorkle, who put that whole project together from the Center for Community Innovation, and Cece, who wrote a grant for us to be involved in that. So thank you, and all of you who've been a supporter. As the staff at Liberty House, we think about the children who come here, and we think about their families all the time. We think about the experience that they have when they come onto our property, don't we? We think about what it feels like to come in the building. We think about the pace of our interaction with them. We think about that all the time. And so a couple of years ago, when we launched the project to raise money to purchase this building and remodel our clinic, and we started looking at this beautiful space between the two buildings, it just kind of came up naturally. We just started thinking about this space. And we thought, well, when people drive into the parking lot, the first thing what they're looking at is this space because they're facing west. And so that kind of got us going. It just seemed natural. And so when we mentioned this during a garden party that we held in August of 2014, Rick Day happened to be there. We hadn't met each other. He just showed up and and he came up to me at the end of the party and he said, when you get around to that garden, call me. I'll help you out with some of the materials. So that was amazing. And Rick is helping us out with a lot more than just some of the materials. So I really want to, again, give you a shout out and a thanks. Yeah. So last fall then, when we had the opportunity to write that grant and apply to be part of Share Tank, and thank you, Phil, for everything you did to put that together, that was kind of a game changer. It gave us an opportunity to tell the story. And so the other sharks, so Richard Pine, Rick Day, Rich Duncan, the Honorable Paul DeMunis, and Kathy Kellerman were the sharks. And they were amazing. And we raised $7,500 through that process. So again, thank you for that. And I also want to honor Rich Kansky of Green Acres, and he got in contact with a landscape architect, and we started really putting the design around this. So that was pretty cool. Curiously, just about 6 weeks ago, Holly and I were in a meeting with a site reviewer for a different grant that we had written, and we were just talking, because we're so excited about this project, we talk about it all the time. And the site reviewer said, so are you going to put in a labyrinth? And Holly and I kind of looked at each other, and she was sort of testing my reaction, and I was, I knew exactly where she was going to go with that. And anyway, so the answer to that question is, yeah, we are going to put in a labyrinth. And that's going to be, we'll kind of place that sort of in a natural area near that berm. And if you've ever participated in walking a labyrinth, or if you've read about it, I think a way that I would describe it is that it's a way of walking a path that takes you from the outside of a circle into the interior. And so, when you go through a tough time in your life, or if you're looking at recovering from trauma, that's kind of like that journey. You sort of go from the outside into the interior part of your heart and soul. And if you think about that, that's one place where you can become more well. You can begin that process of becoming well. And then you walk back out. You walk back the path out. And then when you're out, then that will change how you interact with other people and other people around you in your environment. So it seemed pretty natural to put a labyrinth in. So during this whole process, beginning last fall, we really started thinking about the children, and we were a lot closer to launching our mental health program, and we're going to have a pretty exciting announcement to make regarding that program. We're going to be launching that very early, like within next month, so that's very exciting. And we started thinking about children. We'll be seeing children as young as 2 years old in that program and on up through probably maybe 18, 19, their early 20s. And having a natural outside place, we thought, well, maybe that would be something that a therapist could use, especially little ones like 2, 3, 4 years old, to just walk along the path. This garden will be filled with flowers and blooming things throughout the growing season, something new blooming. As well as other trees that stay green all year round. So we thought, well, if there's a path that walks through that garden, maybe we can hide some letters of the alphabet somewhere. And so if I'm walking along that path with a 2 or 3, 4, 5-year-old, I can say, let's walk along the path till we find the letter that your name begins with, and kind of make it child friendly. And we talked to Rick about that, and he thought, well, let's put some animals in there. So we'll find some way to put some animals. Let's walk along the path till we find a little zebra or whatever. So we're kind of still putting that together. And then we were thinking that it would really be neat to be able to say to children, let's go look at the beauty in this garden. We want you to know that there are people in this community who helped plant this garden because they care about you, and they care about you getting to a place where the abuse isn't the whole story of your life. You can write the story of your life, kind of like what Holly was saying. And then I woke up one day last fall, and I thought, I wonder if there's a way where we can solicit maybe $10 gift cards to garden centers or whatever, And so when a child's then engaged in therapy, we can say, let's go out and look at the flowers, and do you see some of these flowers were planted by other children who've had experiences just like you, and there's going to be a point when you're ready, you can go and buy a flower and plant it in the garden so that you can be part of creating that place of beauty for new children. So that's just sort of how this whole idea has evolved, and it's really exciting. So in February, you know, we kept saying, all right, after the holidays, so I sent an email to Rick and to Rich and to Rich Duncan, and we started kind of putting together. So in a couple weeks, we are going to have some heavy equipment out here. About probably the same week that we're actually putting a new roof on the clinic, and I want to give a shout out to Rich Duncan and his corporation because they're footing the bill for that for us, which is pretty amazing, in addition to everything else they've done. So thank you. I mean, Rich had to be out of town, but he knows how grateful we are. And so at the same time that we've got roofing going on, then Rick and Rick's company will be bringing in, we have a bridge that will go across that swale behind, and so that will connect the door that's on the other end of that clinic to this building. And this is the wing where we'll have the mental health services, and so there will be a really nice connection between our two buildings. And then we'll have some place, you know, a table and some little chairs to sit, and a bench and some planters. So again, thank you, Rick, for once I saw the final tally of everything that you said okay to, that was pretty amazing. So thank you. Yeah. So, and then I think that we'll probably be planting and inviting people all summer long, and that'll be exciting. And the OSU Master Gardeners haven't heard yet from me, but they're about to. And so it's just a neat project, and we want it to be a community feel. So with that, we have a guest of honor here today, Salem Mayor Anna Peterson. Thankfully, we see each other all the time because we work out at the same gym. And she was gracious enough to allow her schedule to be rearranged so that she could be here with us this afternoon. Mayor Peterson has a vision for the city of Salem. She has a vision for neighborhoods and communities and families and children. And I am really grateful to you, Mayor Peterson, for your leadership. And I am very honored to welcome you and introduce you and have you come talk to us a little bit. So thank you.
I really do know that this is the collaboration capital. And the remarks that Allison just made prove that perfectly. Businesses and nonprofits, social service agencies, government agencies, community members, volunteers come together in this community better than anywhere else in the state. And you give your time, you give your energy, you give your materials, your money, your expertise, your service. I'm looking at the state police officer back there. Thank you so much. We know that this is a very special community. And one way that communities are judged and cities are judged, we're judged by the number of potholes we have, and we're judged by the number of parks that we have, and we're judged by the numbers of programs that we might have in the community. We are judged by the way we, excuse me for getting emotional, by the way we care or don't care for our children. And so I'm very honored to be a mayor in a community that cares so much about the children. And I know from years of contact here with Liberty House that the work that is done here is so crucially important because the children that come to Liberty House are so fragile at the time that they come. They've been abused, they've been neglected, they've been exploited, and at the moment that they come here, they are very fragile beings. But I know that every time a child comes, they are received and embraced and cared for, and just as Allison was saying, they are treated as an individual, and every moment of their time here is thought about in terms of how it's going to affect them, because from the moment they come here, they are on that journey, that very special step-by-step process to their own recovery, their own wellness. And I had to wipe my tear away. Not an easy subject for any of us to talk about. But abuse for children makes them feel guilty. They feel like it's their fault. They were often forced into doing something that they knew or thought might not be the right thing to do, and then they were told not to talk about it. So they feel like they were participating, they were the cause, and they come with all of that guilt and those fears, and they come to this very special, very safe, very well-staffed environment. And we as a community are blessed because Liberty House is here. So this is a very important month. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. One of the things the city does each year, and I'm so happy we can do this, we light the bridge, the railroad pedestrian bridge. We light it in blue. So every night people look at that, and pretty soon they begin to say, I wonder why it's blue every night. Well, there's publicity out there that explains it's to help the public see that this is a special time for us to take into consideration the needs and the thoughts and the lives of the children. And the fact that Liberty House is so mission-centered on the children and on their health and their recovery is a reason why I encourage everyone to support Liberty House, support the garden. I love the idea of the garden as a healing center, and it truly is. And I also know that the work that's done here, the physicians, the nurses, the staff, the social workers, bring such expertise here. Please support them, help them to do what is a very difficult job. Help our officers in law enforcement to do the job that they have to do, because they're the front line. And the good people here at Liberty House are the ones that cobble those lives, those gentle little lives, back together again so that we can have strength and health and welfare throughout our community. So thank you very much for inviting me today. It's really been a great way for me to top off the week. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be part of this. And I'll come back and help with the gardening. I promise. I love to garden. Thank you.
Of all the nonprofits there, they came closest to reaching their goal after their Share Tank presentation, and they're a nonprofit that does so much for this community, and it was our pleasure that we had some small role in making this garden possible.
Share Tank was a great experience, and this is the first invitation to see Share Tank projects being implemented. And to me, this is a part of a great process where it's a cycle of, okay, we're coming up with ideas, we're going to raise money, successfully have a campaign, and now start doing something. And to me, that doing something is the most important part. So it's very gratifying to come out and be able to see work in progress.
Many, many years ago, there wasn't a Liberty House. Kids and families didn't get what they needed. So Liberty House is a huge, important resource in this community, working with law enforcement and helping folks and kids and families get back to normal. So we love their mission. They're always on our top 5 charities, and we love these folks. And the garden is a fantastic addition. The addition of the second building, they're going to be able to serve so many more children and families, and the garden's going to be wonderful.